weather has been absolutely gorgeous here on the beach of Daytona, Florida, and it continues here as we continue on Speed Weeks for Season 7 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series, getting ever closer to the Great American Race Daytona 500, and we will set the remainder of our starting grid in today's two qualifying races. These are the Can-Am duels at Daytona. So far, we've determined the front row for the Daytona 500. J Bryant currently sits on pole. Levi McIntyre currently in second. The remainder of the field, though, is yet to be set, and it will be set in today's two races. 20 laps apiece. And basically, whoever wins this race, with the exception of the two drivers that currently are locked onto the front row, they will start third. Whoever wins the second duel race, they will start fourth. And basically, we go on down. The finishing results from this duel will determine the inside of each row, and the second duel's finishing will determine the outside of each row. However, it is not absolutely guaranteed that J Bryant and Levi McIntyre will start on the front row for the Daytona 500. They have to both survive their respective duel races. You see, Bryant will start on the pole for this duel race. I think what the best strategy would be for the 22 car is to just drop to the back, stay out of trouble, keep away from a possible wreck happening, keep your car in good shape so that way you don't have to go to a backup car and forfeit the spot you got in yesterday's pole day qualifying session. But you got drivers behind him that all want to win here, because a lot of drivers say that to be able to win the Daytona 500, you need good starting track position to keep yourself ahead of if and when the big one might be triggered. So we may see these drivers race pretty aggressively in these duel races today, but none of these drivers want to get in a wreck either, because then they'd have to go to a backup car and start at the rear of the field for the Great American Race. J McCloud was third fastest in qualifying, so he'll be starting on the front row with J Bryant. Now let's go down trackside now and get those most famous words and motorsports here at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines!
You can look down in the description below to see the starting lineup for each one of these two respective duel races. Could be interesting too, because there's 20 laps here today for each one of the two duels, and if you tuned into our Clash race here to start off the season, that was 24 laps in distance, and they had to pit. They couldn't make it the entirety of the race. So will we see green flag pit stops possibly in our two duel races? Don't really know what the fuel window is, but my assumption is if they can't make it 24 laps at a 2.5 mile racetrack without having to come to pit road, they'll be really close on making it 20 laps here in these two Can-Am duels. J Bryant will have a teammate lined up to his inside, Dylan Young, so those two Fords will have a bit of an advantage on the start. J McCloud's got a former champion and a former Daytona 500 winner behind him in K Mathews. See guys that are near the rear of the field here after qualifying, like Chris Dodd, Benjamin Miles, Shane Lake, Seth Cole. They're definitely going to be relying on this duel to get themselves a much better starting position in the Daytona 500. And it'll be interesting to see here as well, will Young Motorsports continue their dominance? So far here in Speed Weeks, it has been all the blue oval. Dylan Young winning the Clash, and right now you've got two Fords that are positioned to start on the front row for the Daytona 500 with teammates Bryant and McIntyre. So it's been all Young Motorsports, it's been all Ford, who have basically been the big news stories so far this Speed Weeks. Can Chevrolet or Toyota break into the headlines with having one of their manufacturers go to victory lane in one or both of these respective duel races? The pace car will make the left-hand turn down to pit road, and we will get ready to go for 20 laps here, getting ready to set the inside line for the Daytona 500. Can-Am duel number 1 at Daytona is green. Let's roll! Potential problems early on for the 51 of J McCloud. You saw him drop back very, very quickly. I thought the 22 of Bryant just timed the green flag perfectly, but something is obviously amiss on J McCloud's Chevrolet. And he is holding up a bunch of drivers on that outside line, including Benny Watson. I believe that was also the 26 of Daniel Voyles. And you saw Dylan Young with J Cittadino use the high side to get around the 22 of J Bryant. So Dylan Young picking up where he left off in the Clash, out in front showing the way. Here comes Cittadino to the bottom, though, in that number 72 Red Dead Redemption 2 Chevrolet Camaro out of Kyotech Motorsports. And he will lead the first lap of the first duel race of the day. That is a heartbreak for J McCloud, though, in that 51. If we didn't have the Can-Am Duels, he would have been starting third for the Daytona 500, but with him fading back and obviously some kind of mechanical issue here on the start for him, he will probably be starting at the rear of the field for the Great American Race. I don't know if he's going to bring his car to pit road or if he's just going to ride around out there. I mean, if McCloud's able to ride around and a wreck happens here in this duel race or a wreck happens in the upcoming duel race, the second one, he would start ahead of those drivers that would have to go to backup cars, but obviously definitely not the start to this duel that he was looking for. How about Chris Dollerton? Dollerton started, I think it was back in 17th, I think it was. And he's already up to third, now looking for more, looking for second on Dylan Young. So a very, very fast Whataburger Chevrolet out of CJ Racing for Chris Dollerton. As Cittadino continues to show the way. Then you got a battle back here. Shane Lake started outside of the top 15. He's now up to fourth, and he's under fire from Cody Llamas for that spot. Llamas there in the 48, and right behind them, the rookie of Scott Roush in the 60, the Toyota Camry out of K Shearer Racing Tech. And much of what I expected to see here, a lot of drivers wanting to migrate to the high line, especially off turn 4. There's a bit of a dip on the inside of turn 4, which really has your car bottom out, loses you a lot of momentum and especially straightaway speed on the exit of the corner. So a lot of drivers like to run that middle groove, gives them a lot more momentum on the straightaway. Right now, side by side for second, Dollerton and Young, neither driver really giving an inch at this point in time. And if they continue side by side, that's going to allow Shane Lake to reel those two drivers in and make it a three-man fight for the second position. While behind them, they are double wide. That was Llamas and Shearer working together, and then a couple of rookies, Roush and Holly Davis there in the 3, driving the car that won the championship here 1 year ago with Brooke Allen behind the wheel. Holly Davis getting her first taste of Hersheys Cup Series action here, making her first start, if you will, in a race condition event. Llamas now with a big run on Shane Lake will try going for 4th place. She dropped back here. You can see J Bryant there, riding in the, I believe that's the 9th position. There's now Daniel Guilbert trying to take that spot away from him. Bryant just trying to get himself in a safe spot and stay out of the way. Cody Llamas with Holly Davis pushing him. They'll move to 4th and 5th, getting by Shane Lake as Cittadino continues to show the way. John Cittadino, number 72, taking over the charter that was Elijah Gilbert's. Gilbert now down in the Pizza Hut X Series once again, trying to become a multi-time champion down there. We'll see him in a couple days' time as Pizza Hut X Series will have their season opener here at Daytona. Dollerton and Dylan Young rekindle that battle for 2nd place, though. And as that happens, that brings the rookie Holly Davis into the fray, and Holly Davis going to move up to the top side with Dylan Young. Holly Davis out of Michael Norman Motorsports, a team that Dollerton drove for last year when he drove the 1 in the Pizza Hut X Series. And you can see Dollerton down that inside line. Normally when you see drivers kick to the high line, that normally means they're going to fade to the back, but here at Daytona, the high line is actually the faster way around the racetrack, and you saw that Holly Davis was able to make it work. Dollerton lets her go, slots into the 4th position as now the battle's on for 5th. Shane Lake to the inside of Cody Llamas. May have a battle for 2nd just in a moment here. Holly Davis looks to the inside on Dylan Young. Dylan Young's been hanging in 2nd place for most of this race so far behind John Cittadino. And a lot of drivers have tried passing Dylan Young to the inside, just haven't been able to get anybody down there to help and offer some drafting help. Watch as they come off turn 4 here. Watch the 3. Ran a little bit higher there off the corner, not right down against that double yellow line, so the exit was a little bit better for Holly Davis, but there you see that outside line is going to get the momentum as Chris Dollerton helps keep Dylan Young in 2nd. Dollerton will probably slot into 3rd here, not quite clear on the 3 car just yet. The only driver that's really been making the inside line work has been that 55 of Shane Lake. He's now in 5th place. Daniel Gilbert's managed to catch up to this lead group. currently running in the 8th position, now looking for 7th off of rookie Scott Roush. K Shearer was with the group, but he's lost them now, and I believe that 51 of McCloud holding everybody up has really stacked everyone up and spread them out in terms of drafting is concerned. Bryant right now slotted in 10th all by his lonesome, and then you've got this second group, which I think was all held up on the outside line. Lopez, Chris Dodd, Benjamin Miles, Trent Dunham, Dougie Shears, Cody Smart, and Kyle Mathews all running by themselves. Then you've got Benny Watson and Daniel Voyles back here. Those were two that were behind McCloud the longest, so they've lost the group there. Seth Cole way back here in the 98, and looks like McCloud is still running, but I think he's still off the pace. 192 down the back straightaway. The race leader's hitting 204 going into turn 3, so he is probably down a cylinder, I would say, with McCloud, and he's not that far ahead of these race leaders either. So they're going to catch him pretty soon here, as we are not quite yet halfway through this race. We will be the next time they come around, hit the stripe. Holly Davis getting a taste of Hersheys Cup Series action, doing pretty well for herself, as she'll now go up against Dylan Young for the 2nd position. Dollerton not sure which alliance he wants to have, whether he wants to help Dylan Young on the high side or Holly Davis on the inside. Eventually decided to go with the 3. And now Davis will move into 2nd place. Dollerton now looking for 3rd on Dylan Young. Got 7 cars basically up in this lead group at this current point in time. So those guys back there like Lopez, Chris Dodd, Kyle Mathews, they basically just have to cut their losses and battle each other for the highest position they can possibly get in the 500. I don't think they're going to be in the hunt for this win, especially with the fact there's about the same number of cars in this lead group as there were in that second group. So they're going to make just about the same speed as these leaders. They get to single file here. Cittadino, Davis. Davis with a big run, going to go to the inside. Not sure this was the time to make the move, though, because they are catching the 51 of James McCloud, and they'll probably catch him by the time they get down here to turn 3. The question is, where's the 51 going to go? Will he go low? Will he go high? He goes low. Cittadino's going to try and get around on the high side. Look at Dylan Young looking 3 wide, 4 wide. Cittadino's in the wall. He's still up in the wall, and he gets off of it, but boy, that was close. Tough break there for Cittadino, trying to get off the wall that just sucks you in, and Holly Davis going to lead the first lap of her career. Albeit a non-points event, but still it's her first lap led, as now Dollerton to the inside, and Dylan Young looking to maybe make a 3rd lane up the middle. That 51 of McCloud certainly bunched everybody up here, and now we've got a dogfight for the lead. Couple of Chevrolets, Davis on the outside, Dollerton on the inside, and now Dollerton just lost his wingman Shane Lake. Lake moves up to the high side. That's going to keep the 3 out in front. Gilbert way down there on the apron. I think he had 2 tires down on the double yellow line as they're trying to make their way around McCloud. Looks like McCloud might be back up to speed. So maybe it wasn't a mechanical problem. Maybe he just missed a shift or something. He may have blown 1st or 2nd gear on the start, because now that he's merged in with this lead group, the 51 appears to be up to speed. Right now he is 21st, 1 lap down, and as consequence, at this current point in time, would start 41st in the Daytona 500. Dylan Young to the inside. Looked like Dollerton was going to go with him. Thought better of it, stays up top. Will Dylan Young be able to get to the left rear quarter panel of the 3? Yes, he does, but there's nobody downstairs to help him. Dollerton stays up top, which means that Dollerton and Davis will have a much better exit off turn 4 and much better straightaway speed. Davis will now keep the lead, and she moved down. That opens the door for Dollerton to make a move on the high side. Whoa, Cittadino! Nice save, as he almost lost it there out the exit of the tri-oval. I think that was in reaction to the 83. It looked like Dollerton may have scrubbed the wall a little bit, and I think that Cittadino may have thought they were going to wreck. Nice job keeping a hold of that 72 underneath them, though, as they're side-by-side for 2nd. Young and Dollerton. Now we're seeing more cars start to migrate down to the bottom. Cittadino down on the very bottom of the racetrack there. I don't know if he's trying to let some guys by or not. Look at Dollerton trying to get that outside line going. Cody Llamas and Shane Lake were with him for a moment, but now Dollerton has to slot back in line behind the 2. Sounds like we've got another car up ahead they'll have to deal with. That is Seth Cole. Boy, both of the Tweenix Racing cars in this duel, both very, very slow, as now Dylan Young's going to try again on Holly Davis. Got alongside there out of the exit of turn 2, but will he have a friend on the back straightaway? Trying to use the side draft. Dollerton moves low. Dollerton looking 3 wide into turn 3. He's going to make it work. 3 wide for the lead as they approach the slow car of Seth Cole. Dollerton, Young, Davis. Cittadino's offering the help down low, it looks like, to Chris Dollerton. Dollerton's going to lead the lap. Strong power move by Chris Dollerton. He's now got John Cittadino in tow. Then the lap car of J McCloud. A lot of Chevys down there on the bottom. The lone Ford up top of Dylan Young. He's got Holly Davis glued to his back bumper, but nobody else up there helping, as now Daniel Guilbert shifts down to the bottom. Dollerton going to move up to the top side. That opens the door for Cittadino down low. Cittadino going to try and get alongside Dollerton going into 3. He will do so with the help of the lap machine of J McCloud. So all of a sudden we're starting to see the inside line come in with some speed. And they are quickly approaching, as I mentioned, that 98 of Seth Cole. And Seth Cole's coming to pit road. I don't know if this is a regularly scheduled stop for the 98 or if he's just trying to get out of the way of the leaders. But either way, that certainly helps out in terms of these top drivers not having to deal with figuring out which lane the 98 was going to take. Side by side, Dollerton and Cittadino. Both these drivers make their return to the Hersheys Cup Series, but both of them had more than 10 Hersheys Cup Series charter starts, so neither one eligible for Rookie of the Year honors. And both of them right now duking it out here in this duel race. Both want to start third for the Daytona 500. You've got about 8 cars in this group, 7 on the lead lap, and here come the pit stops. So it was a scheduled stop for the 98. Cittadino, Davis, Young, Lake, and Llamas are all in this lap, and that leaves Dollerton and Guilbert out 1-2. Looks like Benjamin Miles, J.T. Bryant, they just made pit stops. Looks like that was the 07 of Dougie Shears right there. Nope, I'm sorry, that's the 60 of Scott Roush that they just passed. So we are having pit stops here in this duel race, which means that we will probably have pit stops in our second duel race. It's going to come down to the pit crews as to who's probably going to start third for the Daytona 500. We had about 5 cars from the lead group come to pit road the lap before, leaving 2 drivers out there with Dollerton and Guilbert. They're going to come to pit road this time. The question is, though, will they be able to produce enough speed to be able to get out ahead of those drivers that pitted 1 lap earlier? McCloud just got himself back on the lead lap there, but he'll probably have to come to pit road next time. McCloud was off the pace early on, so he probably was able to save a little bit of fuel being as slow as he was, and will probably be coming to pit road next time. He's only 1 lap down, so he'll probably be pitting this next time by. So let's jump up to this battle here with Holly Davis, Dylan Young, because this could maybe be where the battle for the lead brews once the 83 and the 4 come off of pit road. Although, where's the 72 of Cittadino? Well, Cittadino's out ahead of those guys. Cittadino's out ahead of them, Cody Llamas and Shane Lake. So actually it's the 72 we got to keep tabs on, as he's about to close in on the 4 of Daniel Guilbert, and up ahead would be the 83 of Chris Dollerton. So right now, the momentum is on the side of John Cittadino. He'll now move into second place. And there is Dollerton just now entering into 4. Cittadino not too far behind him. Question is, though, does he have enough time to run him down? Because, believe it or not, this is the white flag for Chris Dollerton. White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go here in this duel at Daytona. Dollerton with about a 1.5-second lead back to John Cittadino. Then Cody Llamas slotting into 3rd. That may be actually a battle for 2nd between Llamas and Cittadino. Give it to Llamas, but that's going on a 1.5 seconds back behind Chris Dollerton. Chris Dollerton just got to hit his marks through 3 and 4. I don't think Llamas has enough speed and enough time to catch him before they get to the start-finish line. He's closing, but I think he would have needed another lap. Out of turn 4 for the final time, Chris Dollerton. Looks like he'll start 3rd for the Daytona 500, or will he? Llamas closes even closer. Not quite going to get there. Dollerton is going to win duel number 1 here at Daytona, but boy, just barely by about a tenth over Cody Llamas. Boy, that was really close there at the line. I didn't think Llamas had a ghost of a chance to get within 2 car lengths of Dollerton. He was almost alongside of him by the time they got to the start-finish line, but Chris Dollerton moving up to CJ Racing full-time here in the Hersheys Cup Series. There's a statement made for his new team as he will win Can-Am Duel number 1 and as consequence will start 3rd inside of row 2 for the Great American Race. CJ Racing, a team that has a Daytona 500 victory under its belt back in season 5 with Chris Dodd. And you look here at the finishing results for this duel. So J Bryant, he finished 17th, but he managed to keep the car in one piece, so he'll be the pole sitter. And he'll be followed in row 2 by Chris Dollerton, row 3 Cody Llamas, row 4 Cittadino, and row 5 and 9th would be Daniel Guilbert. Shane Lake finished his 5th, Holly Davis in 6th, Dylan Young 7th, Cody Smart 8th, Chris Dodd 9th, and Jordan Lopez completes the top 10. You look on down through their finishing results, and it looks like everybody on the inside line, that's all been determined because everybody finished the race. But how about the Tweenix drivers there? Seth Cole, James McCloud off the lead lap, 20th and 21st. You got to wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a worrisome thought in the back of the mind of Dylan Poteet in Duel 2. But it looks like so far the first 2 rows for the Great American Race are going to be Bryant, McIntyre, and Dollerton. Who's going to be in slot 4? We'll find out as we get set now for the second Can-Am Duel at Daytona. Don't go anywhere. Getting set for Duel 2, a little bit of cloud cover in front of the sun here as these drivers roll out onto the grid. So we'll have to see if that plays any bit of a factor into the outcome of this race. But as we saw in the first duel, they ran 20 laps clean and green, and pit stops were the deciding factor. And if these drivers run clean and green, we will probably see pit stops come into play here in this one as well. So same story as JT Bryant in Duel 1 for Levi McIntyre here in Duel 2. Just survive, finish the race, and he will start in the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500 guaranteed. Everybody else, though, like we saw that battle with Dollerton and Cody Llamas at the end of the first duel race, we'll be seeing that probably here in this second duel race as they all want to start 4th for the Daytona 500. And going back to where we saw the 2 Tweenix drivers finish 20th and 21st in their dual race, McCloud and Seth Cole, well, their teammate Dylan Poteet is starting way back there in trouble for Emmanuel Hartnett as he peels down onto the apron. Something amiss on the 20 car, and that's the second time this week that there's been mechanical problems for Emmanuel. As he's going to bring that car to pit road, it looks like, and he won't even get to take the green flag on the grid. But going back to Poteet, he started 21st for this duel, so he started at the back. So, boy, Tweenix Racing, they're having some woes here during Speed Week. Same for Emmanuel Hartnett as the green flag set to go in the air. Can-Am Duel number 2 is green. Let's roll. So like I said, some cloud cover here. Usually cloud cover means the track would cool down a bit, allowing a little bit more grip. So these drivers might try and make some more aggressive moves early on. As McIntyre, Anderson, and McCrury get that inside line going. And now Anderson jumps up to the top side trying to get a run on McIntyre for the race lead. And he's going to pull alongside. Nice move there by Anderson. Rookie last year. Has a season under his belt now, and definitely looks like he's learned the tools of the trade. Look at McCrury getting awfully close to that left rear quarter panel on the 99, and Cole Baker squeezed in the middle. Speaking of squeeze, Shelton just got squeezed into the wall there near the rear of the field. Anderson will lead the lap, but he's not yet clear on the high side of Levi McIntyre. I think he might have cleared him now going into turn 1. And he will drop down into the middle line just in front of the 99. Boy, McIntyre trying to figure out where to go. Anthony McCrury there with Cole Baker in the middle. Now, those two cars last year were teammates. They're not teammates this year. Baker moving over to Fitzwater Australia Racing. And McCrury, the team owner now of Kyotech Racing. Oh, car on the apron. That's Gallighan. They're going to let him back up. Oh, Kyle Keith trying to give him some room there. And Gallighan does manage to get his car back on the racetrack. Don't know what happened there in the middle of the pack, but it forced the 44 down almost to the apron. Nice job letting him back up there. Nice save by the 44 of Gallighan. I saw another car scrape the wall back there. Looked like that might have been the 27 of Osborne. And yeah, I could definitely tell these drivers are racing a lot more aggressively than they did in Duel 1. Difference of the track conditions, I guess, as Fitzwater moves into second. So right now it's Fitzwater Australia Racing 1-2 with Anderson and Fitzwater. McIntyre slots into third. McCrury right now in fourth. Now he moves to the bottom looking for third place. 3 wide, several rows deep behind them though, about 4 rows deep. Almost 4 wide there. Looked like McIntosh almost had it 4 wide between himself, Sandfer, Poteet, and Arndt. Arndt may have brushed the wall right there, losing a little momentum on the high side, as now McCrury moves to third. Might not hold on to that spot for long. Here comes Kyle Keith in the 29. Get Poteet swing from the low side up to the high side behind McCrury. Walsh got on the apron a little bit. His car drifted up. Saw McIntosh having to react as got a car back there that's lost the draft early. That's Johnny Gardner in the 7. Meanwhile, we may have a battle for the lead on our hands momentarily. Fitzwater's got a big run down the back straightaway. Another car on the apron. That time it's the 39 of Keith Batson. There must be something on the entrance to turn 3 when you enter low that there must be so much of a dip down. These drivers aren't ready for it, and it's turning their car way down further to the left than they want to, because that's about the 3rd or 4th car that's had 2 tires down the yellow line. Whoa, Tim Walsh. Yikes. Nice save. I'm not sure what happened right there. I don't know if the 29 checked up so he had to react, or if he may have gotten a bad bump from the 39. Cars are too close to each other to tell. Nice save, though, to keep that car in shape by the driver, the 15. That was a close call. Got a battle up here for second. McCrury, Kyle Keith against Fitzwater, Dylan Poteet. This all going on behind the 89 of Jordan Anderson. And boy, these guys are racing really aggressively. Some of the smartest drivers right now might be Shelton, Sandfer, and Baskinger. They're near at the tail end of this pack. Just waiting to see what unfolds. We haven't had a caution yet today, but right now, the way that this energy is brewing, I think we may end up seeing one. Keith got 2 tires down there on the bottom of the track, down on that double yellow line, but he's making it work. Oh, contact! Contact there between Batson and Gallighan. Both of them are down on the apron. Oh, they got to let him up. They're 4 wide because of this. Oh, Batson, there he goes. He goes up into Brandon Gonzalez, and we've got our first wreck of the day. Caution will wave for the first time today here. It takes place on lap 6 of Can-Am Duel number 2. Oh, boy. Anderson leads him at the line. McCrury will be second. Fitzwater, Osborne, and Keith your top 5, but there's just no way that was going to work. They were 3 wide. You had Batson and Gallighan down on the apron making it 4 wide, and when you're 3 wide, there's just no way you can move to let a driver on the apron back up, so you knew that was not going to end well. And Batson was the car that went around, and he collected a number of drivers with him who had absolutely nowhere to go, and might be a big break for Hartnett. Hartnett, I think, might still be on the lead lap. Gonzalez was one of the drivers involved, I know. He's got damage. Joseph Srigley in the 21, as well as the 39 of Keith Batson. Looks like Cole Baker in the 18, also with damage. Ooh, brakes for Gonzalez, brakes. Yikes. John Arndt might have gotten a piece of the action. That was also a big break for Johnny Gardner. Left side damage on R.J. Reynolds. And there you see the 18 all crunched up of Cole Baker. That's about 6 or 7 drivers that got a piece of the action. Jordan Anderson leads us here. I would think these drivers would want to pit. Why not pit under caution? Then you'd probably be good to go the rest of the way. The drivers in Duel 1 didn't have the benefit of a caution, had to pit near the closing stages. So this says to me, with them pitting here on lap 7, we will not have green flag pit stops to close out this duel race. So that caution is savior for many drivers in many different ways. And let me just check and see. Oh no, Hartnett is a lap down. I thought he got out on the tail end of the lead lap, but he did not. So this was not a caution saving the 20 car. So let's follow this battle here off of pit lane. Let's go to the TV2 camera. That's a good camera angle there to be able to watch the battle off pit road. Looks like it's gas and go for Anderson. He and Kyle Keith with a drag race off pit lane. I think Anderson just barely got him by a nose. And then it was Fitzwater, Poteet, and McCrury who came out the top 5. So it looks like Anderson will still be the race leader when we go back green. Let's take a look and see what brought out the caution for the first time here today in our Can-Am Duel number 2 at Daytona. We're going to use our helicopter camera basically because I wanted to see what happened here off turn 2 first to start this. And, oh, looks like right there. Boy, I don't know if Walsh got into his right rear quarter panel or not. Or if Batson moved low because he was going to get into the back of the 29 of Kyle Keith. You see Gallighan also there, went down to the apron. Now, the problem is neither one of these drivers decreased their speed. They kept their foot in the throttle. I mean, Batson right now is still going 199 miles per hour. And you can see they're just 4 wide there with Batson, Walsh, Osborne. That's Poteet up top. I believe that's also the 14 of Dallas McIntosh up on the high side of that 4 wide situation. So there's just nowhere that Walsh can go to be able to allow the 39 back up on track because he's already on the inside of a 3 wide situation. And you see right here, Gallighan does a much better job of getting back up on track. Batson does not. Right there, he's going to get into the side of Tim Walsh, spins him up into Brandon Gonzalez, and Gonzalez gets up into Reynolds. Nowhere for Strigley in the 21 to go either. And then right here, well, oh, wow, Sandfer sideswipe Baker. I thought that's where Baker got his front end damage, but he didn't. John Arndt also got into the back of the 18, got a little bit of damage there, but not much. I'm guessing Baker's damage came from probably a stack up under pacing on the back straightaway. I mean, for the most part, there were really only 4 drivers that got involved in that wreck. The 97, 23, 39, and what was the other one? There was another one there, and I'm forgetting who it was. Well, maybe it was just 3, really. Reynolds, Batson, and Strigley. Oh, and Gonzalez. That's who the other one was. So really just a 4-car incident, but you can see Johnny Gardner had lost the draft. That was a big break for him to get back up there. And also, I think Sandfer, Shelton, and Baskinger were starting to lose the draft. So that caution was a big break for them, but obviously not good for some of these drivers involved in the wreck because that could potentially mean they'll be having to go to backup cars if they retire out of this race for the Daytona 500. Lights are out top the pace car. We'll go back green just around the halfway point here of our second Can-Am Duel. We do have one driver out of the race after the incident we saw, basically because of the stack-up we saw under pacing, and that is the 18 of Cole Baker. So Baker in a backup car for the Daytona 500 would have basically started 42nd anyway since he finished 21st here in Can-Am Duel number 2, but obviously they wanted to probably keep that primary and not have to go to a secondary, so they're going to have a lot of work to do in the practice sessions later on this week to try and get that car up to par. We've got 20 cars still running, 19 on the lead lap. Emmanuel Hartnett was a lap down when that caution came out, came to pit road with the rest of the drivers on the lead lap, so he is still 1 lap down to the leaders. The good news for him is, though, he'll be starting at least 1 spot higher than he would have had that caution not happened. And if we still have another wreck take place here, he may end up picking more spots. Jordan Anderson won the battle off pit road just barely. Kyle Keith will restart in 2nd. Zachary Fitzwater in 3rd. 4th now Dylan Poteet. So Tweenix Racing's problems not all, warranted to all 3 of their cars. So he's running well. McCrury's in 5th. Joshua Osborne right now 6th with Shelton in 7th. Dallas McIntosh in 8th. 9th Johnny Gardner. And 10th place right now is Tim Walsh. Green flag will come back out with 10 laps to go here in this duel. Let's see if with a single file restart, these drivers are going to be anxious to get back to 3 wide racing again. Look at Anthony McCrury. He was ready for that start. Jumps up to the high side of Dylan Poteet, and he was able to get to the right rear just after the start finish line now alongside the 31. So that will be the battle for 4th. He's got Jessica Shelton helping him on the top side. Joshua Osborne trying to get to the back bumper of Dylan Poteet. Not going to be able to do it. McCrury and Shelton, though, they've got a lot of momentum, and they're going to bring that momentum up here to this side-by-side battle for 2nd place between Fitzwater and Kyle Keith. McCrury shifts lanes, goes low, follows behind the 59. So McCrury looking very speedy right now on this restart. He'll now go to the inside for 2nd on Fitzwater. Shelton there with him. Kyle Keith trying to fill the hole there as well as everybody migrates to the bottom of the racetrack. And Johnny Gardner, talk about a very timely caution. That really helped him to catch back up to this lead group, and now he's about to crack the top 5. So we've got 3 of the Fitzwater Australia racing cars up here in the top 10, now in the top 5. Anderson leading, Gardner right now unofficially 4th, and Fitzwater in 5th. Get Poteet back there moving left and right, trying to pick a lane. Jake Baskinger in the 38 is now up here in this lead group. First time we've talked about him today. And also up in this lead group, you see him there top side, last car on the outside line, now shifting low, and that's Levi McIntyre. Remember, McIntyre's goal just to survive this race so he can start on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500. Now, if Levi wins this race, whoever finishes second would end up starting 4th for the Great American Race. But McIntyre trying to continue on Ford's dominance this weekend. Fitzwater may have brushed the wall there as he got kicked to the high side 3 wide with Gardner and Kyle Keith. Keeps the thing straight, though, as it's side by side for second. Shelton on the bottom, McCrury up top. Shelton's got the friends down low. She'll move to second. Gardner moves to third, or does he? Baskinger now going to go 3 wide for the spot. Might have gone a little too low as he's down below the double yellow line, trying to keep that car from shooting back up the track into the other race cars to his high side. Hangs on to it for the moment. Top 5 looks a little bit different right now with Shelton second, Gardner third, McIntyre 4th, but the leader remains the same. Jordan Anderson has dominated ever since getting out in front, and he has not looked back, but now Shelton there in second place, very good at these super speedways, as is Levi McIntyre and Anthony McCrury, so 3 of the best in the business now trying to run down Anderson for the top position. Right now it'll be a Ford front row for the Daytona 500. A Chevrolet and Chris Dollerton holds 3rd place. Will it be an all Chevy row 2? Right now Chevy runs 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and possibly 4th and 5th as Keith and Fitzwater make their way by the Ford of Levi McIntyre. So it looks like the odds are in favor of an all Chevy. Whoa! An all Chevy second row. There was contact right there between Fitzwater and Kyle Keith. Not sure the 29 is going to be too pleased about that. I don't know what exactly happened there, but the 59 came down and doored the 29. A nice save by Kyle, but that lost him a ton of spots. He dropped back now, and this is, I think, a battle for 10th. No, actually, it would have been a battle for 8th right now going on, as McCrury is going to go to the inside of Jessica Shelton for 2nd. Where is the train behind him going to go, though, with Fitzwater, Gardner, McIntyre, and is that Baskinger, I believe, in the 38. They're going to go low, they're going to go high, they're going to go low and high. They split up. Gardner helping McCrury on the bottom. Fitzwater stays up top, so does Levi McIntyre, so it's 3 cars up high, 2 cars down low. That'll give the advantage to the high side. Shelton will probably hang on to 2nd, at least for the moment. And Jordan Anderson, what a job he is doing controlling the draft. He's had about 2 car lengths between himself and 2nd place for a majority of this run, keeping those drivers behind him at bay, not allowing them to generate a run to be able to get to him. Shelton now, though, has been able to clear this battle for 3rd, so maybe she can get up here to the 89. Fitzwater trying to get by McCrury on the high side for 3rd. McCrury going to battle back on the bottom. He's now got Johnny Gardner down there with him. Now Fitzwater's got McIntyre, Baskinger, and Gallighan with him. And I'll bet Fitzwater doesn't want that 29 to get anywhere up near him, because I don't think that Kyle Keith is all that happy right now with Fitzwater. Shelton closes the gap. He's only about a car length behind the 89 of Jordan Anderson. And we are closing in on the conclusion of this race. Anderson's done a great job of mirror driving, but his biggest test may be taking place in these final 3 laps. Single file amongst the top 5. Anderson, Shelton, Fitzwater, McCrury, McIntyre. Looks like McCrury's the one that wants to go somewhere. Keeps moving up a little bit higher on Fitzwater. Now he's going to move low. Fitzwater's going to move low. They're going to be 3 wide for 2nd place, it looks like. Ooh, McCrury really low as he got 2 tires down there almost on the apron. That lost him some momentum. Fitzwater shoots the middle. Went up there to try and side draft the 0-2. He might be able to move into second. And if he does, that might be all she wrote. Fitzwater may be able to play some defense for his teammate Anderson. Still side by side for second, and that also is helping the 89 to be able to stay out in front. Thought I heard some slower traffic, but nope, these are drivers that were involved in our only caution so far today. Srigley, Gonzalez, Batson, and Reynolds, they're leaving turn 4. Leaders are on the back straightaway, so slower traffic will not be a factor in the outcome of this race. Look at McCrury! He practically wanted to use the apron as a lane there into turn 3, and again, it's going to hurt him. He's going to not only lose third place to Gallighan, but he may lose more as here comes Gardner and McIntyre. That lost the 61 a lot of momentum. Gallighan all of a sudden up here now in the closing stages as the white flag was just displayed for Jordan Anderson. The best battle on track may be for second place between Shelton, Fitzwater, and Gallighan. Nobody's been able to get up to Jordan Anderson at this race at all. They move single file. Here comes Gardner. That's for fourth on his teammate Fitzwater. Shelton, Gallighan, nose to tail. Those two going to work together? Nope. Gallighan's going to go to the inside and try and take second place. Coming off turn 4 for the final time, though, Jordan Anderson. What a performance for him. He'll pick up his first checker flag of the season, albeit a non-points event. He'll start fourth for the Daytona 500 as he wins Can-Am Duel number 2. Gallighan did get Shelton at the line for second, Shelton third, Fitzwater fourth, and McCrury in fifth. Much more exciting battle there in this one. A lot of 3-wide action, a lot of passing for position. Our first duel basically came down to pit stops. This one came down to who had the strongest car, and there was absolutely no doubt that Jordan Anderson had the strongest piece underneath him, at least here in this duel race. If that car manages to get out in front in the Daytona 500 and we have the same kind of racing conditions, I don't think anybody's going to be able to touch him. Session has come to a close, and our grid for the Daytona 500 now is set. The outside line, Levi McIntyre finishing in 7th, so he will start on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500. He'll be followed by Jordan Anderson on the outside of row 2, Gallighan the outside of row 3, Shelton the outside of row 4, and Fitzwater will complete the top 10 outside of row 5 with his 4th place run here in today's Can-Am Duel. And then the rest of these drivers will all start on the outside of their respective rows. McCrury there 5th, Gardner in 6th. Talk about a driver with a comeback there after that caution. McIntyre there 7th, and it was Baskinger, Keith, and Poteet completing the top 10. Only one driver will go to a backup car for the Daytona 500. That'll be Cole Baker, and he would start 42nd anyway with his 21st place finish here in this duel. Looks like Gonzalez, Srigley, Batson, Reynolds, who all got damage from the wreck, looks like they continued on, and they'll probably just repair those cars and not give up any good starting track position. They will not start at the rear in backup machines. But that is going to do it here for our Can-Am Duels at Daytona. We now know the front row, J Bryant, Levi McIntyre. Row 2, Can-Am Duel winner number 1, Chris Dollerton. And Can-Am Duel 2 winner, Jordan Anderson. So thank you all for tuning in. We will see you guys as points are on the line now to continue on this race weekend from Daytona. It's the Coors Light Truck Series, rather. Still got to get in the habit of saying that. Their season opener takes place here tomorrow, followed by the Pizza Deck Series season opener the following day, and then we cap it off with the 7th annual running of the Hersheys Cup Series Daytona 500. You're not going to want to miss it. Daytona Speed Weeks continues here on the NNSCRA Sports Channel, offline racing at its best.